If you are using still ChatGPT for your content and also articles, you need to bear in mind Google is coming after you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode. And today we've got Mugilan, Farzan, and Eyad. I'm going to be discussing digital marketing. Hello, gentlemen. Hi, Mugilan.
Hello.
Hey guys.
By the way, I think, yes, Mugilan, you are an expert.
Yeah.
Could you just tell us a little bit? Because I don't think that Malaysia really knows, because one of the reasons why Farzan, Ahmad, and I talked about this podcast, we don't think that Malaysia knows who we have here. Right? So I'm just really curious, like, what have you done in the past? What brought you into digital marketing? And how long have you been into it? Just some great success stories, perhaps. Very curious to how you got into this.
I mean, professionally, if you ask me, I've been in the industry for almost 18 plus years.
Wow.
Professionally, meaning that I've been employed by companies and so on.
Yeah.
And not including my professional years, I started my online venture when I was 15 years old.
What were you selling? What were you selling?
Just affiliate products. So back then, when I was 15, more in the sense that creating my own website and so on.
Yeah.
Once you have website, you see traffic coming in to your website because of the basic SEO that I did and so on. That's when you start to ask yourself, okay, what's next? What are you getting traffic? What do I do with the traffic, right? Then I started selling affiliate products. So back then, there was like a popular referral platforms like ClickBank. They're still popular, but I'm not sure how many people are using ClickBank and so on. I started selling a third-party products through that particular advertisement and so on. I started to gain more and more traffic, more and more sales and so on. That's when I started to realize, okay, there is something that I can do in digital world. Back then, when I started, the term digital doesn't exist at all.
What year was that?
1998.
2010? Oh, 98. Sorry.
Yeah, that's way back.
Yeah,
My
way back.
goodness. That's
The only
a
thing
lot.
that you know is online marketing, online ads. So the digital term that you used back then was to referring to some sort of like a digital coaxial cable or something. I'm not really sure. There's some sort of digital cable, I
Still
guess.
nuts and bolts.
So nothing to do with digital marketing. That's where I started. And as I go on year to year basis, right? Then I started to realize, okay, you need to evolve yourself to next level, next stage, and so on. Professionally, started to learn digital marketing, how to run campaigns, and so on. Was employed by a digital agency in Houston, probably one of the pioneer in consumer marketing and performance marketing in 2006, 2007. And I mean, over the years, I have managed almost about 80 plus brands, MNC brands. 25 of them are luxury brands across 17 plus countries, right? And I have managed to help brands to improve their revenue anywhere between 6 to 11x. I think like every $1 that you put gives a return of like $11 in return.
So, Mugilan, before we begin, what's the one thing that our listeners should know if they're business owners when it comes to digital marketing?
If you are using still ChatGPT for your content and also articles, you need to bear in mind Google is coming after you.
In what way is Google coming after you?
Yeah, if you take a look at past 1 year plus, I would say, the moment ChatGPT was launched, right, you can see everywhere, every blogs, every LinkedIn has been talking about how it can help to enrich your content marketing. Have lots of articles propagated around the network by talking about your brands, products, and so on. And there were like a bunch of agencies also providing third-party plugins or third-party services where they say you pay us this much, it will be everything automated for you, where you can generate lots of articles, even if it's a brand new domain, brand new website, anywhere from 0 to 100,000. It's a matter of time to generate a traffic, right? So this was the case for past 12 months, 18 months, from the moment ChatGPT was launched. Now, the latest Google SEO algorithm that was launched last week, March, I think 5th or 6th, if I can't remember, if I remember correctly, they are coming after all those autonomously generated articles, or even if you happen to use ChatGPT for any reasons to generate content, they're going to take a look. They're going to demote your rankings in Google search engine.
So when you say Google is coming after you using ChatGPT for your content, Google is going to de-rank you. They're going to downscore you because they're trawling through and they're going to work out that you're using ChatGPT.
Exactly. One of the reason I would say yes and no, partly because one of the reason why they are going after those content, because many brands or many agencies using a single point of prompt. They have like a line of prompts, line of like a question they wanted to ask ChatGPT. The answer generated by ChatGPT almost similar or 90% similar across all the contents and articles. Now, those brands who can escape the de-ranking or getting penalized by Google, if they happen to use the article generated by ChatGPT, add in your own content, add in your own point of view, or add in your brand's details or brand's information in each and every paragraph in a manner that Google feels that, okay, apart from ChatGPT related article or generated article, it makes up almost about 30 to 40%. It kind of like, okay, not now. You are kind of like safe for now. And the rest of the websites and articles are kind of like have to have some sort of like suffering when it comes to Google's rankings and positions.
Okay, so I want to just take this step back because this is a very interesting topic here. Probably something that we want to take a little bit further, right? But maybe I start with what is digital here, because if we go out there and we talk to a lot of the younger generation startups, they're very well averse about what digital is and how should they be playing in the digital area and how is it important for their business. But there are also other business owners out there that are still questioning, do I need to be in digital? What part of digital that is important and how do I play in this area? So maybe we start off with that, right? Can we frame why is digital important and how does digital marketing plays into play?
Yep. I would say in a sense that whether you're starting fresh from the ground for your brand or in business, or if you have like some sort of like retail presence, offline presence, and you have feel that probably is not so important for you, any business, whether it's a retail, offline or online, regardless, you need to have a digital presence. The reason being, right, now most of the searches or most of the queries that happening online also because of what you are providing offline, retail stores and so on. For example, you could be just a company or retail, not even retail, more like a real estate company, right? You have like a new project coming up. People don't really visit your show house anymore. I mean, there are people do that, but most of the time people wanted to have like some sort of like basic queries like what's the new project inshallah. It doesn't happen in the offline space, it happens in online space. Or even it could be selling a pisang goreng, for example, right? People will be like sending a queries to Google, where's the nearest pisang goreng stall in Shah Alam, in Bukit Kemuning, for example, right? So whether you like it or not, as a makcik or pakcik, you wouldn't need a digital presence, but for the people to come and buy from your offline store, they still need some sort of like a digital presence.
So here's an interesting fact that I got around, I think it was 2019, 2020. It says that Malaysian in particular visit 6 to 7 online websites before making a decision to purchase anything, which is high if we compare that against the global statistic. Global statistic goes around 3 to 4 and we goes about 7 to 8.
Yeah.
So I guess that sets a statement that digital in Malaysia is important for business. Like you said, it's mainly for the consumer, mainly for the your customers to know that you exist and to know your product, to know what you are providing to them, right? Then comes the second question, right? So why digital marketing? How does that relate to being present on digital?
Yeah. I also want to touch a point on what you mentioned just now, right? 6 to 7 seems like a little higher when you look at the global scale or global statistics. Now, let me also cover from another angle. Recently, I was supporting a local MNC brand, right? When we have like a digital strategy outlined to them, and they are kind of like saying, "Hey, Mugilan, lots of traffic, lots of conversions happening from Google. Let's just kill all the other social media." Now, when we look at the Google Analytics statistic, right, of course, Google happened to be the last mile or last click conversions, but people happen to discover it from everywhere. So in order to prove that, we had like an attribution model applied on the purchasing journey and everything. Believe me or not, for this particular product, which ranges in the price range of like 80 ringgit to 200 ringgit, Malaysians take anywhere between 18 to 22 touch points in digital media before they make a purchase.
Wow.
Yeah. So they look at your advertisement in Google, look at your advertisement in Instagram, look at your content in Facebook, then go to TikTok, come back to Google Maps, come back to Google Search and everything. Almost 18 to 22 for this particular brand. I mean, it could be different for other brands, but this particular brand who almost wanted to kill all other social media happened to realize last mile is Google clicks, but happened to be like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok contributing almost about 40 to 60% of discovery for their product. So that's one of the reasons why we wanted to have a digital presence for most of the brands, because you wouldn't know where people are making final decision to make a purchase for your product or from your e-commerce website. It could be Google or it could be also Instagram. So rather than depending on certain social media or platforms, just go all out on all platforms.
Challenge. If I'm a small business, right, I only have limited resources, limited money, limited people. Therefore, how would I manage all these platforms? Because if you look day by day, new social medias, new platform just pops up out of nowhere. Right? Previously, it was just Google, and then Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, WeChat. Even on Google itself, there's Google Map, Google Buy, and all this, right? So, as a business owner, where do I start? How do I start thinking about optimizing my resources to manage digital space?
All right, a good one. So the thing is, like, depending on the budget that you have, or depending on the scalability level that you're looking at, right, you can start anywhere below, I wouldn't say below, anywhere that you feel comfortable or very familiar with. For example, you might be more comfortable with TikTok or more comfortable with Facebook, right? Start somewhere where you think that probably you can find your audience. Or look at your competitors. Probably if, let's say, someone is already selling in marketplaces, or if someone is already selling it via certain platforms, for example, Instagram, right? That could be your discovery platform for your business. Start very small, identify the right platform. Of course, you cannot blindly identify, rather than saying, okay, maybe I want to correct slightly on that. If, let's say, your audience happen to be Instagram, because all your competitors are selling over there, right? You cannot be like using Facebook just because you're comfortable with that. But what I'm saying is that if, let's say, you don't have any idea at all where are your customers are currently, right? Start somewhere where you can rely on certain platforms. But it has to be something relevant, something trendy as well, because just because you happen to be very popular with Friendster, or you happen to be having presence over there, you shouldn't be considering Friendster. I mean, of course, it's pretty much not famous right now, but it has to be relevant to the market, relevant to the audience that you are targeting in the space. Now, they can start as little as like 5 to 10 ringgit, right? First of all, you need to have a very good content in your Facebook page, for example, if that's where you start. Because the moment you start advertising as little as 5 ringgit or 10 ringgit for a small business, the first thing that people will do, they'll come straight to your account. Take a look at the products offerings that you have. What are the other elements that you have within your business and so on. If you don't have your content curated for your audience, if they land into your page, if, let's say, even if you're running a digital marketing campaign, they just see about 3 posts posted in your account, they might not feel motivated enough to like even consider talking to you, because they might feel like maybe this business is not legitimate enough for me to talk.
I can resonate on that point, because I've had conversation with small SMEs and they're like, why should I go on digital? We tried Instagram, we tried TikTok, and it didn't work. So I decided to go on and look at their account. 3 posts. And even that, right, the 3 posts has little amount of information. It's just like this one construction company. It's just like building, done. No words. Caption was very minimal. So then the question posed back to the business owner is, why are you posting these pictures in the first place? What do you think customers would get from this platform? What do you intend the customers to get out of this platform? So I don't know, maybe this is a question for you as well. Is this something that you see lacking among those decision makers in digital marketing? Do they lack the idea of intention of customers on these different platforms?
Right. One of the main key factors for this, right? Everyone wants to be on certain platform. The moment they see a competitor is successfully doing a business on certain platform, then the businesses getting also kind of like a pressure that, hey, I need to be on the platform as well. So when they launch it, they are very serious about it. Right after the launch, they are kind of like, okay, we will do whatever that we can, whenever we can, right? They don't keep up with the consistency of producing the content regularly, because for them it's as a matter of like, I need to be there, and my brand has to be there. For example, I has to be there in TikTok, but what I'm doing with TikTok, I don't really care right now because I don't really have enough resource for that. Now,
exactly.
and one of the brand, not one of the brands, most of the brands, what they're doing right now, right? The moment they produce certain contents, like a video content for Facebook or Instagram, they are repurposing it in TikTok as well. If you do that, you're not going to capture your TikTok's audience, because the way how things works in TikTok is totally whole new level of engagement that needed, content needed, the way you craft the content and everything has to be totally different.
That's very interesting, because then, again, coming to my point earlier, right? I think the fundamental challenge here is that limited resources.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I pick up is being a bit more strategic in terms of knowing where your audience are, and therefore maybe that's where you want to start, you want to prioritize. But then the moment you're thinking about scaling it up, then comes the second challenge, whereby how do I repurpose one? If you have limited resources, you want to repurpose first, right? So you repurpose the content on the other platform, but then that will then not 100% aligned to the particular platform. Like you said, TikTok probably have a different audience kind and everything. So how do we go around that? Are you saying that for different platforms, I need to always create, or
Not, yeah, I get the point. So not necessarily they have to repurpose the content in a way that it has to be different. I wouldn't say repurpose, more in the sense they don't need to recreate or create a brand new content for TikTok. But what they can do, for example, if let's say you're posting a horizontal video on YouTube or Facebook, and then you're posting a vertical sized video on Instagram, right? When you're repurposing the same content on TikTok, it has to follow the vertical size resolutions and everything, so that when you post, the very first organic reach that you're going to gain from TikTok, they will check whether you're following all the necessary basic requirements, whether the size of videos is within the size limit, within the resolution that are allowed or recommended, and so on. That's how you get pushed. So you need to like repurpose or redo the content, because nowadays there are lots of online converters. This particular video size, convert it to this particular video size and everything, right? You just need to do use those converters online, or if you have a resource that can do that for you, not necessarily recreating, repurposing for the size of videos and everything. You just need to do that for a beginning, so that you're at least meeting the basic requirements set by each and every social media platform.
So these platforms are automatically checking the quality of the videos,
Right.
that they're going to organically suggest someone else watches.
Definitely, because
I did not know that. I did not know that. I thought if you had it there, it would simply show it and then see who engages with it and then optimize from there.
that's true if you are following the requirements set by
You
them.
must follow the
You must
requirements
follow.
first.
For example, yeah.
So my understanding is this, right? The moment you set up your advertisement
Yeah.
on these platforms, right? Of course, you have to follow the requirements.
Yeah.
They have scorings.
Yeah.
So if you get minimum score, then your chances to appear on your customer site is very minimal. So if you
Right.
the more you don't apply these regulations or this requirement, the lower your score is.
Right.
So yeah.
That's true. Because the way how they understand the users' engagement, right? In a way that when you post a video, are they like at least spending few seconds on your video, right?
Right.
Secondly, because the customers or probably the users are very accustomed to those platforms' way of consuming the content. Now, assuming they used to vertical content in TikTok, right? Suddenly you're posting a horizontal video. There is a black box on the top and at the bottom. The first thing they will do, just swipe up, because it doesn't resonate with the way they are consuming content on everyday basis. Yeah, it could be a good content, just because it's not following the way how they consume the content. They're just gonna skip or swipe up.
There's certainly a bit of thought that needs to go into it, because even for this stuff, we're always trying to make the content, the visual, the creative, just work within the different sizes, dimensions where it appears on each one. It's quite a challenge. Yeah.
It's quite challenging. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about SMEs and how to start, right? I have another challenge, because when I go to big corporates, right, they seem to think that they know what they're doing. And no, don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing anyone here. I'm just saying that they're doing stuff. They're putting money in. They're getting back. They're getting ROI. ROI is positive, by the way. But I get a feeling that there's a lot of things that they can do better. I'll give you an example that I think, and this is quite a hot topic.
I've got an example after
search.
your example. I've got one after yours,
Sure.
and then we'll go to Mugilan.
A branded search, right? So let's say I search for a particular brand, right? Back in those days, people say you need to bid for that keyword because just to be safe.
Yeah.
But I have a different opinion because by Google search ranking, you're going to be at the top except for the advertisement portion.
Yeah.
Right. So why would you waste money on that portion when you're going to be there anyway? Right. So yeah, these are some of the curious questions that I have, and probably the on the enterprise level, the big companies, they're already there. What are the small mistakes that they probably overlooked upon?
Okay. I've got a second example. I remember. So your example was you pay for the keyword, the paid ad is top, but you're also number one on the search engine results pages anyway, right?
And you already know that
Got
customers are searching for that particular brand, which means,
So why would you pay to appear top twice? I've got another example of, on the topic of big corporations, knowing what they're doing at a positive ROI, but seemed questionable, right? I think, so the first one was 10 USD for customer acquisition when the lifetime value was less than 10 USD. I think that was one. And it was considered good. And this was because they had to authenticate the user through SMS, and there was a lot of costs there that came into play because they kept changing their phone number. And the other example, so that was a B2C value proposition product. The next one was, it was a B2B, and they were spending $10,000 per customer acquisition.
Okay.
And the lifetime value on a 2-year contract was probably half that.
wow.
And they hadn't really understood it. And then I was being given like some data to look at, and not just me, but there were a few others. I found this out. I was like, ooh, do we really know what we're doing? So anyway,
Yeah, good question from Farzan just now.
Yeah.
So on the branded keywords, right? Now this is how usually corporate companies or bigger MNCs look at it, from the way that I'm already number one. Why do I need to even bid for the keyword, right? Few years ago, or even like 10 years ago, you wouldn't be really bidding for your brands because pretty much you're naturally appearing on top. Now what happens is that brand keywords or branded keywords are the one primarily contributing to purchase decision later on. But what also happens, right? If you don't bid for the keyword, your competitors will end up bidding for your keyword. So your competitors will be taking out your number one position from Google's ad ranking, although you're appearing organically at number one, but your competitor appearing on top of you because they already bid for your keyword and you're not bidding for the keyword, right? And a study says that anywhere between 9 to 11 times, if you repeatedly appear in front of your users, they will start to make a decision to buy from your competitor rather than from you directly. That's one of the reasons why even Google usually say, if you are not bidding for a branded keyword, you need to start doing that. From Google's point of view, people may assume that, okay, they're really after my money because I'm already naturally on number one. Why do I need to do that, right? But the brand discovery also happens when people search for your branded keyword. So just to eliminate the chances of losing your customer to your competitor, first of all, or losing some sort of like a positional ranking that you're building for your SEO related activities, they continue to bid. Because in the past, SEO, search engine optimization, doesn't has any dependency on your search engine marketing, paid advertisement. Google changed the way how it operates. Now you need to spend on your SEM, search engine marketing campaigns, in order to also get influence on your SEO ranking. So
Capitalism.
That's great.
That's new to me. That's new to me. Okay.
The challenges, right? So companies seem to know what they're doing. They're getting positive ROI.
Yeah.
So Google is saying spend. They're spending. They're getting a return.
Yeah.
My question is, what? Because it's almost like everyone's spending on an agency, everyone's spending on a marketing team, everyone's spending on rolling out these campaigns, right? do you, because, you know, and we need to maybe also ask, like, what is it you've seen and a bit about your experience, Mugilan, in the answer as well is, you know, because my question is, I know that you've worked on things all around the world. And, you know, do we see that some areas or product types or businesses are better than others at what they're doing? Or is everyone just missing something very obvious that's at quite a high level? There's just the trick that they're not doing. And I'm particularly interested, if I wear my business owner hat, like, am I spending too much money? Is there too much money left on the table? I'm spending on Google. Is it too much? What else should I be doing, right?
Before I let the expert answer this, that's personal opinion, because I was involved in digital marketing a little bit, right? And a lot of the things that we found out is, a lot of companies out there does not realize how important SEO is and how to do proper SEO. Because a part of it is to ensure that your content is out there first, then only your paid media can pick that up and do this stuff, right? And it's true. We had a global hotel chain coming up to us and say, hey, we want to do search engine marketing, SEM. And these are the keywords and everything. Okay, good. Run as a normal agency. But then we had an SEO expert at the back, and he came in and he looked at the website and everything. He said, okay, hold on. Yes, you can perform. You can get a good performance on your SEM. Customers know your brand because you're huge. But organically, you're stuck.
Oh.
Yeah, and SEM can just bring you just that level because your content is not optimized.
Right.
So from my experience back then, I think content marketing take precedence, and then your SEO needs to come hand in hand, and then comes the other portion. So now I'll let you correct me if I'm wrong at any point.
That sounds right, though.
That's right. Because when you look into SEO's way of like deciding your positions and also the optimization, right? Back then, it's just purely on your on-page optimization. What are the keywords that you're putting on your meta, the title of the meta and everything. It evolves over the period where it's no longer about on-page optimization. It's also about your off-page SEO. It's also about your technical SEO. So these are the three main pillars for SEO, right? Now, the moment they engage with the SEO specialist, the website is already up and running. The content is already up and running. Only then they feel like, hey, I need a marketing team. Let's hire an SEO guy. Or probably let's hire a digital marketer. The digital marketer will come in and say, hey, I need an SEO guy. The SEO guy will be coming in and he'll be looking at the whole website and say, hey, the entire technical structure is broken. You guys need to rebuild the website again, right? So even before you engage with any sort of like e-commerce development, your branded page development, right? You need to have digital marketer at least in, your SEO guys at least in, so they can tell you these are the primary keywords that are trending for your brands. Your competitors are targeting. Make sure your content covers that. Even if the content is like covering all the topics that we are talking about, right? Are they structured in a way that it enhances their customers' journey so that they feel like, I want to consume more, I want to read more. Or they feel like the moment they land into the page, they feel like, I can give you a very good example. Forbes.com. You go and read about their articles about 10 ways how you can improve your speaking skills in your office, right? You click the article, you take a look at the article, you will immediately leave the page because it was structured in a way that the website was done, or the content was done, or how it was done 10 years back, 15 years back. You need to read through line by line, paragraph by paragraph to understand, oh, this is point number 1, or this is point number 2. Things has changed in a way that you have to provide it at least in the basic form of listicles so that people just browse, oh, number 1 is this, browse, number 2 is this. Forbes doing it terribly. I don't know whether I can mention the brand here. They're doing it very, very, very bad when it comes to those kind of like content marketing. Right?
Forbes, I hope you're listening.
And we're talking about Forbes with lots of people who are in their backend to support their digital marketing and so on.
No,
right?
But here's the thing, right? Especially with brands this size, they're very confident with themselves. They feel like, okay, we've been in the space. Our customers know us. Our customers know how to consume our content. And yeah, that's why my initial question as I transitioned was, what are enterprises, the big companies, big brands doing wrong? I guess being over comfortable with themselves. I think that's one of the ways to get things wrong.
I think over comfortable they just don't know to look.
Yeah. I mean,
You know?
you're just blinded by the fact that you think you're doing great.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like what you mentioned just now, right? They just have a feel like come out with something, and eventually we'll figure out what to do next, right? It doesn't happen that way, right? I mean, at least need to have some sort of like a subject matter expert sitting and advising you, so that rather than redeveloping the entire website, corporate companies or agencies are easily charging about 6 figures for basic development of branded page, right?
Yes.
Are you going to spend again another 6 figure? And they will say no. I just spent 6 figure.
Yes.
You want me to spend again? No. And the digital marketers and SEO guys will suffer. And end of the day, they will say, I don't trust digital marketing. I don't think digital marketing is working for me.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. That's definitely what they're getting wrong, right? They're sourcing out, being charged an arm and a leg. They're not building their own capabilities, and they're then not pursuing the opportunity in digital content, in digital marketing, in building that muscle internally, because it's always sourced out, isn't it?
To me, it's about internal knowledge and how do you keep to that, right? Because as what Mugilan says, building let's say your first digital website, right? Without knowing what you need to have in place, I think the content-wise, you probably have heard and you've read that, but the technical part is something that people normally don't really see. If I take Forbes, for example, right, maybe they are in that light as well. They probably know their content. Like their content, they know people will consume that. It's fine. Brand-wise, people know it's Forbes. But when it comes to technical perspective, probably they didn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, they don't know. And I'm reminded now, like there was once I was coaching, not e-commerce, it was an online shop, right? I think they're now one of Facebook Malaysia's biggest customers, so to speak, for paid ads and all that. And after a year of coaching and the program ends, I was paid by the grant giving agency. He'd received a grant, and then we kept in touch occasionally. And at one point I said to him on one of the phone calls, like, hey, look, I'm not hearing how the other advice I gave turned out, right? So if you really want value, like we've got to work out something a bit more structured, get very clear from you, like on what you want to solve, and then I'll go in. You might need additional resources. I'll recommend, but you can engage them directly, and I'll project manage it for you, and we'll see what we can help you achieve. So he came back and he was like, I want to grow my revenues through my online shop. I've been scared on pulling the trigger because I don't think doubling my marketing budget will result in a return, right? So I was like, okay, so I recommended an analyst. There was a website developer, and I think there was someone else as well to run the ads, right? Tripled his monthly visitors in 4 weeks. His revenues doubled. His website had to be rebuilt 3 times. So every week it had to be rebuilt because things just kept failing. Plugins were going out of date and all of this. And then now when you talk about just now, like they're just not familiar with it, right? The other thing I'm thinking is that the mindset is very different because I'm gainfully employed by the big companies. And the big companies, it's how do you know this is going to work? Whereas with the braver sort of digital first guys, it's we're gonna do it. We're gonna make sure that we've got a way of fixing it in place, ready to go. But let's just go for it. And I think it's a mindset question as well. There's more bravery in some companies.
Right.
Like Forbes is not that brave.
Okay. I'm gonna add to that, right? Because mindset. Yes, I do agree.
Yeah.
There's a part of it is it's mindset, and the other part is knowing that technology platform or digital platform changes every now and then. Like Google search engine, the algorithm has been changing a lot, right?
Yeah.
So maybe the hired person knows it up to 2023, 2024, let's say.
Yeah.
Come next year, Google comes in with a new algorithm. Does this person keep up? He's probably too tied to BAU and therefore can't keep up. Probably, not saying, but that's potentially what could happen, right? So with that, we've talked about SEO, we talk about digital platform, we talk about a little bit on SEM, a lot of digital elements already here. maybe get your opinion on the full landscape. You don't have to go into detail, just enough for people to understand what is digital marketing, the landscape of digital marketing, what are the other parts and pieces that probably we haven't touched yet in this conversation.
I would say pretty much, if let's say as a business, anyone want to have like a reasonable, decent success for their money that they're investing, right? They need to understand it's no longer about one single platform where you are gaining momentum. It's more about implementing your 360 digital campaign so that wherever your users are, your prospects are, you have to appear in front of their eyes. If otherwise, you're going to lose in the competition, right? Now, it's not also about having a proper structured campaigns content on social media platform, but it's also a matter of like, are you ready for the next wave? The one that currently is changing the way how people are making purchase is AI and also personalization, right? Are you implementing that in your pipeline, or is it even in the pipeline, right? Some people will feel that, hey, we can take another 6 months or 12 months because we just spent on certain amount of digital marketing budget, right? Even if that's the case, you need to have some sort of readiness for your AI and also personalization. Now, we talked about ChatGPT, whereby Google is coming after all this content, right? 1 year back, when this is the option for your brand, did you even take those actions so that you can diversify the number of contents in your articles, in your page and so on? If you don't do that, and then you're kind of like lagging behind the people. Yes, Google is coming after you, they're going to hurt your rankings and so on, but it doesn't have to be in a way that you are purely copying and pasting into your page, right? Were you even doing that? Because I know some of the brands that I consulted for these articles, right? They say, "No man, we have another 6 or 8 months before we start doing that for ChatGPT articles." It's too late for them. Google's already start penalizing them.
Well,
right?
what are they doing? Are they taking time to write one article, or are they going to use ChatGPT to write one article? They're going to create 7 other versions of that one article. What is it they're saying is taking 8 months? Because this goes back to the point that 3 weeks, triple. Big corporation, 6 months, 8 months minimum.
Yeah, because it's more towards the way how everything is structured within the company, right? For example, generating a content probably is a lot easier for the communications team or content marketing team.
Right.
But getting it approved from the product manager, from the marketing team, from the sales team, it goes to CMO. From the CEO, from the CMO, CEO, he has to see the articles, whether his brand's being mentioned like multiple of times and so on. They are making every little of bit of information to be added according to their preference. Now, that's not how...
That's death by committee, surely, right? Isn't that in the CIA handbook of how to destroy nations?
Exactly. So I would say, if you really want to be successful in digital marketing, right, give the power to that one guy who's making a decision on digital marketing so that he gets all the support that he needs to get everything done within 1 week or 1 month. If your product manager is sitting under someone else's manager, at least get him to dotted line to this particular digital guy. If your development team sitting under IT guy or IT manager sitting under a different guy, get at least someone to dotted line to this digital marketer so that when he makes the call, they won't be saying, I need to check back with my manager. I don't know whether I have enough bandwidth or time to do this and so on.
Oh man, I've been there previously. These dotted lines, yeah, they say the dotted line is in, but hilariously, their manager is then like, I never saw this. And I'm like, well, you'd given, that guy was your voice piece. That was your mouth. That was the mouth of Sauron in the way you're talking to me now. So that's really interesting because what you're saying is empower the person making the call on that content, dotted lines. So probably just to get it down to the nitty gritty, it means that they're going to say, hey, this is what I want to put out. If I don't hear back from you today, I'm going to assume it's all right. Yeah. And no big deal. We can change it anyway at any time, right?
Yeah.
It's a low risk, no brainer experiment each time, and we see what works. Because what matters is being nimble, not about being correct. You'll know about how correct you are with the data and feedback you get once you publish that content out.
Yep.
Surely.
So that's the beauty of digital marketing or digital platform in a way, because it's flexible, it's nimble, right? The challenge that we have in big corporates is that we're used to old-time marketing, right? Where
time.
And this is I've seen this a couple of places, right? Even running on digital marketing, because when I was in the agency side, when we had this conversation with clients, we always say, okay, 2 weeks is enough to see your data. Not to say that it will definitely say it's a success or not, but it's good enough for you to have a feeling of whether you're on the right path. right? 2 weeks is enough. But with big corporates, they're like, no, 1 month, make it 2
months.
So, and then the additional on top of that is after the 2 months comes in, they're like, okay, we need 2 weeks to analyze the data. Hold on. What is all these marketing platform providing you today? They already have a dashboard with all these analytics there.
Yeah.
So what is this 2 weeks for?
Yeah.
Oh, it's for this going down the funnel to see how does it attribute. If it's failing here, we're going to pull some data.
We're going to do a workshop with everyone else in there. Yeah.
they
They're not
want
available until.
We have to explain everything. And then 3 months later, only we can do any testing. So, there's two parts of this conversation here. Right? One is, how do we change that mindset? Number two is, I think we really need to nail to these guys that with digital, things are moving really fast and they need to become fast. They need to move fast because customers are moving fast as well.
Yeah. I want to add a third thing, which is that it's just discussion points, right? The two discussion points. The third one is there's a business. There's a marketing head. There's a product head. There's a sales head. There's what else is there? There's ops and all sorts of stuff, right? Customer service. Okay, in digital marketing, because how do you make it so that where do you draw the line on the decision for marketing? Is it business? And what is our definition of business? Is business the head of product? Is it the head of sales, right? Or chief commercial officer, whatever it might be? Or is it the chief marketing officer? Because that's what you mentioned before. Like, who actually is going to make the call on, I say this is good enough and here's the budget? Because is it a business decision? Is it the head of marketing decision? What is it? Or is it a combination, which is then the committee question back again? That's the third one I want to ask, because I think it's a gray area and I think there are different ways to go about it. I'm not sure what's the best
I
way.
would say I will look at it from two angles, right? It could be either a combination of all those business teams, sales teams, and also marketing teams, or in another angle, it's just a marketing team. The reason why, sometimes a business is equipped with the right people who knows what is digital in sales team, what is digital in even in a business team, right? But some of the dinosaurs, MNCs, right, they don't really have the right people who even know what is digital marketing, what is Facebook marketing, and so on. For example, right, when I was proposing some sort of like content marketing to be propagated to 2 million followers that I had in Facebook almost in 2014.
You've got 2 million followers on Facebook.
Back then, I built a brand actually for 2 million. I mean, I was assisting also a brand, and the call that made for this particular, the call was final decision makers was a content lead, and he said, "Why you need Facebook? I'm not even in Facebook." That was his justification to say why you shouldn't be advertising in Facebook, why you shouldn't be posting a content in Facebook. That guy is like almost about 65 years old,
Right.
Leading a content team. The only justification he gave because he doesn't have Facebook, therefore you don't need to advertise in Facebook, right? If you have those kind of people in your team, then the decision making, final decision should be solely dependent on your CMOs or CDOs, Chief Digital Officer, right? Or even if that's not the case, like what I discussed earlier, empower the digital marketers, the most senior digital marketers that you have in the team, empower them with the final decision making power so that he can say, this is the best for my business, this is the best for my brand, this is the best for this particular project, let me make a decision that will be benefit everyone in the long run, right? And secondly, they also need to give them time, because digital marketing is not a magic. If it's a magic, everyone will start making money within next 1 day, 1 week and 1 month, right? Building a platform, building a sales purchasing funnel takes time. Some businesses easily find it like within 3 to 4 months. Some brands takes anywhere between 6 to 8 months, 6 to 12 months, right? Look into the progress that being made by the digital marketers every week, every month, because everything is trackable. If it's giving the right result, expected result, give them time to build sales funnel so that end of the day you start seeing the result that you wanted to see on the amount that you're investing. And the second thing is what most of the digital marketers don't get. The big corporation expect you to do magic immediately with a flick of fingers, start generating revenue out of nowhere. It's also kind of like challenging.
There's a funny setup that I've seen. Digital marketing sits under finance.
Oh, tell me more about that, because there's a lot on my mind. There's Google's coming after you. AI, you mentioned coming in, and I was waiting for it to come in. Not waiting as in we're late. It's just 20 minutes in, immediately AI comes in, right? But it sounds like AI is not making decisions, right? And then now you're saying finance is making the call. And I love that idea because it means that there's someone who really understands data and numbers as opposed to preference and subjectivity.
Exactly. Because here's the thing, right? You're right. If we're talking from an operating model perspective, right, we can have different ways and structure it differently. At the end of the day, it's just how we attribute the movement of the processes, as well as we identify who's going to be accountable to make decisions and who's going to be accountable over the processes and the data, and the success of the entire project or the entire workflow in itself, right? So in this particular case, you're definitely right, because the reason why it sits under finance is because that's where the budget is, and finance can then quickly make that decision to say, okay, we have the money, how much digital marketing is returning with the right attributes and everything, therefore we can nimbly adjust along the way, right? Finance. But there are different setups. There are setups where it's purely under the CMO. One of my ex-client, the product in itself, the marketing in itself is just purely for the product team. Whereas when it comes to sales, it's independent on the retails and every regional stores. They get the upper hand to decide however they want to do it. But when it comes to brand marketing, it sits under the chief marketing just because it's 100% brand marketing only, right? It's not about the sales and everything. It's just about branding, pure branding. Again, it's how you want to run, what are the processes you want to drive, and what's your ambition there, right? Another use case that I've seen is it sits under individual products. And if you think about how Agile comes into place, right now they're trying to move into product teams as an example, right? And how each team has its own say in making decision in marketing. For right or for wrong, there's always pros and cons, right? Yes, they're getting their upper hand in running this. They can make decisions, it can be fast and everything. But there are also cons to that side as well, because now you're getting marketing segregated. Right? There's no one best practice or single practice, and you see overlaps in how people spend. They're actually cannibalizing their own keywords, for example. So, there's pros and cons in every single way. Thus, I think this is where experts like Mugilan will then help come in and look into the whole setup and say, okay, actually, this is your contact person, how you should structure this better, how you should align things better, who should take ownership of keywords, or who should take ownership of contents and such and such.
Yeah, totally agree. By the way, since 1998, okay, whether just combined your own money, other people's money, employer's money, your client's company, your customer's money, how much do you think you've spent on digital marketing campaigns or whatever
directly,
the words are, projects?
indirectly through my subordinate staffs and so on, right? Close to $85 million.
You've spent
over 18 years. Yeah.
$250 million on marketing in, let's say, 20 years, right? So that's 10-ish million a year. That's
dollars. That's dollars.
Yeah. I mean, $250 million ringgit, right? That's dollars-ish.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. And just curious again, because I find these numbers mind-blowing, right? So how do you think that compares to companies today, the biggest companies that we have? Do you think they've spent that much?
I would say no. Okay. Also, the reason why is in the 7-figure range in the past, right? Because back then, there is no specific performance marketing metrics that has been established by Google Analytics or even like e-commerce websites, right? You wouldn't even know who are the people that are coming into your page, adding to the cart, leaving your e-commerce page, and so on. So the only way for brands to establish at least some sort of presence, spend at least 7-figure on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis. That's one of the main reasons why I happen to spend a lot, because most of the international brands, they are more than willing to spend 7 figures a quarter easily, right? Over the period, the more tracking you started to have within your Google Analytics, within your digital marketing platform and so on, that number becomes smaller and smaller, whereby people are like even skeptical when you wanted to ask them to spend about 6-figure or 5-figure, because they're like, do I really need that much of money to spend in order to see the results and so on? Yes and no, because you may need time to build your brand, right? Whether it could be in the 5 figures or 6 figures, or it could be even in the lower end, depending on the popularity of your website or your brand. Because some brands has been established for the past 20 years, people are regularly searching for you in Google and so on, right? You may not need to spend that much, but for people who doesn't know your e-commerce existence, your website's existence and so on, you need to spend at least decent amount of money. Now, this is where I wanted to answer your question, right? Brands are not ready to spend even about 5-figure a month now.
Sorry, did you say 84 million or 8 million?
85 million.
85 million.
Yeah.
And brands are not, but that's 85 million
across
20
all the
years,
brands,
right?
across all the industries.
Yeah, just under $1 million. That's incredible. Okay, and that's the input. So, do you know how much you've generated in terms of value out of that? Or
B2C.
Just
B2C
curious.
over the period, I would say from the day we started to track, I wouldn't say out of entire 85 million, but from the moment we started to track the return on ad spend, because even Facebook only started to do that in late 2014, if not mistaken, right? The moment we start tracking those data, I would say any amount of dollar that you have put into Google, Facebook, Instagram, my experience, on the average, I managed to generate about $7.8. Like every $1 generates $7.8. If you want to view it on a larger scale, every 1 million invested gave a return of like 7.8 million in return to the brands that I managed under my portfolio.
But if I use that I'm not being skeptical. Do I have this right, Mugilan? Let's say 80 million, just to make my arithmetic easier. Mm-hmm. I multiply that by 7. That's the return of value that you reckon in all authenticity. That's how much value you've created in return.
Yeah.
That's a huge amount.
If I want to put it that way.
That is mind-blowing.
That's amazing.
Isn't it?
So that's why. Together with Mugilan, we had this conversation, right? And we talk a lot today around, I think we just barely scratched the surface of digital marketing. We barely discussed about the challenges, some of the do's and don'ts of big enterprise as well as SMEs, right? But with Mugilan, we did agree, and to the audience here as well, what we're going to establish next is a sub-series where we discuss in detail of digital marketing. There will be multiple topics.
Cool.
But things like, we definitely need to dive more, things like data, right? What you just mentioned, ROAS, return on advertising spend. What is that?
AI, everything.
AI is one thing. We talk about SEO, SEM.
How do you set up the operations?
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
I think the intention here is that if we are able to support our listeners to at least have a better understanding of digital marketing, understand if you're a starter, if you're a new business owner and you want to bring this up, where do you start? Or if you're already an established organization, or if you're already established a career in a big organization, what do you need to think further? Where do you take that step forward? I think that
would be great.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. Cool. Yeah. I think the reason why probably we also need to do that, right? Because I feel that there is a gray area on how exactly digital marketing works, especially for the local brands, right?
Yeah.
That could be some sort of an eye opener, or we try to create value for them to see, at least understand the basic needs or basic understanding of executing a proper digital marketing campaign.
Yeah. Locally, and also I think anywhere else.
Yeah.
Because I know that there are brands here that use digital marketers out of Bali, right? I know that there are people here like your good self that you've got clients elsewhere. So let's definitely set that up. I'm really excited by that prospect, gentlemen. I hope we sit around the table and have a chinwag again soon.
Yeah, man.
Great. So, and on that note, shall we wrap it up?
Yeah. Any last words?
Yeah.
I would say post-pandemic, digital marketing has been more challenging to digital marketers, right? So even before you set out the challenge to your digital marketing team or marketing team, I would say as the leaders of a company, they need to have like a good understanding of what's really happening in digital marketing, so that rather than looking at the digital marketing plan or strategy, a budget as a thing that adding into your approval list, you should be able to also distinguish between what's really happening in my team and what's really happening in my brand, what sort of help do I need to give to my digital marketers or marketing team so that everyone with hands have their hands on the project for a collective success for any brands or for companies.
All right.
All right. I think, thank you very much, Mugilan.
Thank you.
Learned so much today from the chat and also the questions from Farzan. Thank you.
Thank you.
And to our listeners, I hope you've enjoyed the show today. It sounds like we're going to have a mini series on digital marketing coming up on the And Ayad podcast. And I'm being told to look down the camera. It's the first time we're doing a video podcast, and I'll tell you why. It's because the feedback came from the first few listeners that we've got and said, you guys need video. Everyone else has got video. You got to do it. So this is the first one. We hope we don't scare you away with the video. We hope you'll come back and tell us what's good about it, what you don't like. If you want to get in touch with us, it's andayadmail@gmail.com, andeyadmail@gmail.com. You can follow us on Spotify, and Ayad. You can go to ayadhasbullah.com if you want to book time for a coffee or a chit chat, or if you'd like to come on the show. We're going to have a listener featurette soon, so we'd like to hear from you guys on that as well. Until next time, thank you very much.